Hey everybody, it's Saturday, which means it's time to look at the hottest and coldest teams in the NHL this week like we do every Saturday. These videos are always fun, but before we begin, I just ask that you please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button if you haven't yet. Both of those things help out so much and are greatly appreciated. But let's get right into it here. We'll start with the good. We'll look at the hottest teams right now in the NHL. And as you can see, there are some teams playing very good hockey right now. At number 5, we have the Edmonton Oilers, who are 7-3-0 in their last 10 games and are on a 3-game winning streak, looking to extend that today. They've been playing really well. They've been getting production from their top players. They've been getting very good goaltending, particularly from Mike Smith, who has come back this past week and been phenomenal in his 2 starts, finally giving Mikko Koskinen a rest. And I've just been really impressed with Edmonton, and it seems like they're really going to start to take off here and be the team that they should be in the North. Number 4, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning are 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They did lose last game against the Florida Panthers. Those 2 teams play again tonight, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But the Lightning, despite the loss in the last game, still have a great record. They've won 7 out of 10. And they're leading the way in that Central Division. Florida is right behind them, and we'll talk about them in a second here. But for now, the Lightning are still up there in first place, and they have been phenomenal to start this season in their defense of the Stanley Cup Championship. That brings us to number 3, where I have none other than the Florida Panthers, the team that just beat the Tampa Bay Lightning and who are 7-1-2 in their last 10 games and on a 2-game win streak. That's what put them ahead of Tampa Bay. Slightly better record because 1 less regulation loss and a 2-game win streak. And Florida is playing so well in that division, in the Central. They have been one of the pleasant surprises this year in the NHL, where they're just playing so much better than I expected them to be, and they look really good to start the season. We'll see if they can keep that up over the course of the entire year, but it's been a great start for the Panthers, and they are right there fighting for first place in the Central. Number 2, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They're on a 4-game win streak, and Toronto has continued to just absolutely steamroll opponents. They're off to one, probably the best start I've ever seen a Maple Leafs team get off to. This team has been so impressive, so good. Just their overall record, their record in their last 10, the winning streak, it all comes together to have them here near the top. They have been absolutely on fire. They've been winning huge games. They've been dominating certain opponents where it just hasn't even been close. Toronto just looks like an absolute juggernaut so far this year, and that is great to see. This is a team that is finally living up to those high expectations and finally starting to look like the team that they're supposed to be. But there is one team I think a little bit hotter, and that is the Boston Bruins, leading the way in the East Division. And the reason Boston is up ahead of Toronto is because of that big fat 0 in the regulation loss column. 9-0-1 in the last 10 games for the Boston Bruins. A 5-game win streak, which is the longest active streak in the league. And between the longest active win streak and the 0 in the regulation loss column, I think that puts Boston pretty clearly at number 1 as the hottest team in the NHL right now. They've got a real tough matchup against the New York Islanders tonight. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes, especially the second game in a back-to-back situation for the Bruins with travel. Obviously not very long travel going from New York City to Long Island, but still a short trip there. It's going to be interesting to see if they can win against the Islanders tonight. But right now, where we're at Saturday at 11 a.m., 9-0-1 in their last 10, and just a phenomenal start to the season for the Boston Bruins. So now we have to switch things over and look at the other side of things, the cold side, teams that are not playing well right now. And at number 5, I have the San Jose Sharks at 4-5-1 in their last 10 games. They did lose their last game to the LA Kings, and LA was the other team that I could have put at that 5 spot because they are also 4-5-1 in their last 10 games, but they just beat San Jose the last time out. So I put San Jose here at number 5. It's been a very mediocre start. It hasn't been downright terrible. Like, they're not in the same situation as a team like Ottawa or anything like that, but it's been a very mediocre start for the San Jose Sharks, and they're just kind of hovering around 500, and I have a feeling that's probably where they're going to be for most of the year. But there aren't that many long losing streaks going on in the NHL right now, so 4-5-1 gets San Jose just on the list at number 5. At number 4, we have the Nashville Predators, 4-6-0 in their last 10 games. They did win their last game out against the Detroit Red Wings, who are somehow worse than them, and we'll talk about Detroit here in a second. But for Nashville, it's just been a really tough start. They have not been good. Even in the games that they've won, they haven't particularly looked impressive, and then in some of the games that they've lost, they've just gotten absolutely destroyed. Nashville is not a good team this year. They are not living up to what they're supposed to be, and it doesn't look like they're really going to have much of a shot at the playoffs, and they find themselves on the coldest team list for the first time this season with a 4-6 record in the last 10. That brings us to the only team in the Central that is worse than the Nashville Predators, the Detroit Red Wings. They are 1-7-2 in their last 10 games. They've lost 2 in a row, including their last one out against Nashville. Detroit, I mean, this is pretty much what we expected, right? I mean, we knew that they weren't going to be a good team. I don't know if we expected them to be this downright bad, but only 1 win in their last 10 games. It's been pretty brutal for the Red Wings, and it's a process with them, and it's going to be another long year as they, kind of wait for this prospect pool to become NHL ready. They are not there yet, and Detroit seems to find themselves on this list every single week. At number 2, I have the Vancouver Canucks. They are only 4-6-0 in their last 10, so they have more wins in their last 10 than the Red Wings do, but for me, this L6, 6-game losing streak is what has Vancouver as one of the 2 coldest teams right now. Longest losing streak active in the NHL right now, 6 in a row, might be 7 after tonight. They have to play the Flames again tonight. That will be a tough game for the Canucks. I feel like I've kind of beaten to death, Vancouver's start and how much I've talked about it. It's been an absolute disaster. There's really not much more to say there. The Canucks are really, really, really bad to start this season. So they've got to turn things around very quickly, or their season is pretty much going to be over here in the next couple of weeks. And that brings us to number 1. And this is a team, I don't want to beat up on them too much. They're clearly the worst team in the league this year. And I feel like I've already said everything there is to say about the Ottawa Senators. They're still number 1 on the coldest teams list. They might be in this number 1 spot the entire season. That's a very real possibility. They are 1-9-0 in their last 10, including a 4-game losing streak that could be extended to 5 this afternoon when they play the Winnipeg Jets. It's just the Sens just aren't good. I mean, they're a really, really bad team, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So they're going to be on this list probably every week. They might be in this number 1 spot. Hopefully at some point they're not number 1, but 1-9 in their last 10, easily the worst record in the NHL in their past 10 games, and worst record in the league overall. They have been absolutely brutal. So they are pretty clearly holding the number 1 spot here for coldest teams. So that is our list here of the 5 hottest and 5 coldest teams in the NHL right now. And we'll be back doing this again next Saturday. We'll see if, obviously, the list is probably going to change up a little bit, but we'll see how much it changes come next week. But for this past week, this is where we're at. And with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon merchandise store and donation link are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.